Jonah was on his way up in the elevator when he saw a young girl acting really weird in the corner. She kept looking at her watch and talking softly to herself. He didn't think much of it at first, but then he started to notice something was very off. His face went white when he figured out the scary reason behind her strange actions. Jonah stepped into the elevator, not knowing it would change his life forever. However, in the corner stood a young woman, whom he briefly had eye contact with. He got into the elevator on floor 1 and had to get to the top of the building for a meeting with his boss. As he pressed the button for level 12, he suddenly heard something. It almost seemed like the young woman whispered something to him. Jonah ignored it at first, thinking he probably heard it wrong. Suddenly the elevator stopped at the next level and Jonah stepped aside for the woman to get out, but she didn't leave. He waited for more people to get on, but there was no one on the other side of the doors. Jonah scanned the hallway of level 2 and turned to look at the young woman, but she looked just as surprised as him. When the doors closed again and the elevator moved up, Jonah sighed. Suddenly, he got a very strange feeling. He could have sworn he saw the button for level 2 alight when he got on the elevator. So why didn't the young woman walk out? As he stood there, trying to act as normal as possible, he couldn't help but feel watched. When he heard her whisper again, he turned around, now looking directly at the young woman. But as he looked at her, he noticed she wasn't looking at him at all. She was actually looking at her watch. He could see her mouth move, so he was right about the whispering. Sorry, he asked as kindly as he could. The young woman looked up, kind of shocked that he actually spoke to her. Are you alright, Justice? You wanted to say something? The elevator stopped. It had reached level 6, and the doors opened again. This time, another woman stepped into the elevator and pressed level 8. Jonah smiled kindly at the woman and gave her a head nod as a way of saying hello. But as soon as the woman looked at the other young woman in the corner of the elevator, she quickly got out again. This confused Jonah even more. He saw the look on the woman's face as soon as she noticed the young woman in the corner, and it was as if she looked at a ghost. Suddenly he felt the elevator shake, and it stopped so abruptly that he almost fell to the ground. Everything went black and eerily quiet. His stomach dropped when he realized the elevator was stuck between 2 levels. You've got to be kidding me, he softly said to himself as he grabbed his phone and turned on the flashlight. He expected to see the young woman in a state of panic, but she seemed surprisingly calm. I think we're going to be here for a while, she suddenly said with a soft, calm voice. It made chills run down Jonah's spine. He quickly pressed the emergency button and waited for someone to answer. In the silence of the elevator, now without music, the young woman's whispers seemed louder. Jonah could almost understand what she was saying when a voice was heard over the speaker. Below, Jonah excitedly asked, We're stuck inside the elevator in building 3. Somewhere between levels 8 and 6. Jonah's voice trembled as he spoke. We need help immediately. Please. The calm voice on the other end promised swift aid, a mix of reassurance and protocol. He ended the call, clutching his phone as a lifeline to the outside world. As the line went dead, a heavy silence engulfed the elevator. Jonah glanced at the woman, her expression unreadable. Are you okay? Jonah ventured, breaking the silence. She remained silent, her eyes briefly meeting his before looking away. Jonah's attempt at establishing some form of connection fell flat, her lack of response leaving him feeling more isolated. Jonah watched the woman, her serenity unnerving in the face of their predicament. Why was she so calm? Did she know something he didn't? Once again, the woman leaned close to her watch, whispering softly. The sound, barely audible, was a stark contrast to the silent tension filling the elevator. Jonah's confusion mounted. Who could she be talking to? And why through a watch? Jonah's unease grew with each passing minute. Abruptly, the whispering ceased. The woman stood silent, her watch forgotten in her hand. This sudden silence was as unnerving as her previous murmurs. The woman's continued silence became a deafening roar in Jonah's ears, exacerbating his fear. Every silent moment stretched on, turning the elevator into a cage of anxiety and dread. Jonah, unable to contain his fear any longer, turned towards the woman. "What's going on? Why won't you talk, please? Just tell me something." His plea was frantic, a raw expression of the terror that gripped him. Jonah started to pace back and forth across the limited space of the elevator. Each step was a testament to his growing unease, the small area amplifying his erratic movements. Jonah's fear crescendoed as he stopped pacing and faced the woman once more. "Why are you doing this?" he shouted, his voice bouncing off the elevator walls, amplifying his distress. The silence from the woman was louder than any reply, each moment of quietude sharpening the edge of Jonah's fear. The climax of Jonah's fear broke the tension that had been building like a storm. Afterward, a heavy silence settled over them, more profound than before. This moment marked a turning point, leaving a palpable sense of unease between them, the air thick with unspoken words and unresolved fear. As the reality of his situation sank in, Jonah's hope dwindled, giving way to despair. He slumped against the elevator wall, the fight draining out of him. Suddenly, the dim glow of the elevator lights began to flicker back to life, cutting through the darkness. Almost as if on cue, the soft hum of elevator music filled the space, its familiar melody weaving through the air. Jonah felt a cautious relief wash over him as the elevator seemed to awaken from its temporary slumber. To Jonah, it signaled more than just the resumption of electrical power. It was a beacon of hope that their ordeal might soon be ending. With the elevator system seemingly back online, Jonah allowed himself a deep, steadying breath. Though still trapped within the metal box, the restoration of its functions offered him a psychological reprieve. As the elevator hummed back to life, Jonah's resolve hardened. Despite its apparent return to function, he couldn't shake off the dread that clung to him. The decision was immediate, almost instinctual: he would exit at the next floor, no matter what. Jonah's mind briefly flickered to the meeting he was supposed to have with his boss, a crucial appointment now undoubtedly missed. The professional implications were significant, yet in the shadow of his recent ordeal, they seemed distant, almost inconsequential. The balance between his career aspirations and his primal need for safety tilted overwhelmingly towards the latter. With the elevator's movement resumed, Jonah positioned himself by the doors, his muscles tense in anticipation. His determination to leave this confined space was palpable. Every fiber of his being focused on the moment the doors would open. He rehearsed the action in his mind: step out, walk away, and never look back. The ordeal had to end, and it would, as soon as he could make his escape. As the elevator ascended, Jonah couldn't help but consider the potential repercussions of his late arrival. Missing such an important meeting could tarnish his professional reputation, possibly even jeopardize his job. Yet, faced with the immediate threat to his well-being, these concerns felt abstract, secondary. His safety, his mental and physical well-being, was the priority. Career setbacks, he reasoned, were recoverable. Risking another moment of terror was not. The elevator's steady climb offered Jonah a moment to reflect on his priorities. The professional fallout from missing his meeting loomed over him, yet it paled in comparison to the overwhelming desire to escape the confines of the elevator. The decision to prioritize his escape was instinctive, driven by a deep-seated need for freedom and safety. In that moment, nothing else mattered but the urgent need to get out. Finally, the elevator resumed its ascent, the gentle vibration underfoot a welcome indicator of movement. Jonah's heart lifted with emotion, relief coursing through him as the digits on the panel climbed. This movement, so long awaited, signaled not just a return to functionality but a tangible step towards freedom. The stillness that had amplified his fear was gone, replaced by the hopeful hum of progress. As the elevator steadily ascended, a rush of joy overtook Jonah. Each floor passed was a victory, a step away from the nightmare he'd endured. The thought of the doors opening, of stepping out into the corridor, filled him with anticipation. This wasn't just a physical ascent, it was an emotional lift, a surge of happiness at the prospect of escape and the end of his ordeal. Jonah stood by the elevator doors, his body tensed in readiness. He rehearsed the action in his mind. The doors would slide open, and he would step out swiftly, leaving the confined space and its haunting memories behind. His every muscle was coiled for action, driven by the singular desire to escape the elevator's oppressive environment and step back into the world. Jonah's eagerness to leave was about more than just exiting the elevator. It was a deep-seated need for safety, for distance from the unnerving silence and the mysterious woman who had shared his captivity. His focus was singular freedom. The upcoming exit represented more than just a physical release, it was a liberation from the fear and tension that had gripped him. Just as Jonah braced to leave, the woman's voice pierced the silence, her command to stop halting him in his tracks. "Wait," she said firmly, her tone brooking no argument. The sudden interruption, unexpected and authoritative, routed Jonah to the spot, a new wave of uncertainty washing over him. Why did she speak now, just as he was about to escape the confines that had imprisoned them both? "The Mr. Gibson still has time to see you now," the woman said, her voice cutting through the tension. Jonah's face drained of color, his mind reeling from the shock. How did she know about his meeting? The mention of his boss's name, so unexpected in this context, left him stunned and momentarily speechless, grappling with the implications of her words. Jonah's shock quickly turned to realization as he pieced together the woman's identity with the information she just revealed. If she knew of Mr. Gibson and his schedule, then the connection was clear. She had to be related to his boss, but how? The realization sparked a flurry of questions in his mind, his earlier confusion mingling with a growing curiosity about her true identity. "Wait, how do you know Mr. Gibson? Who are you?" Jonah's questions tumbled out, a mix of curiosity and demand for answers that he sought clarity, not just about her surprising knowledge of his boss, but also about her silence throughout their ordeal. His tone softened as he asked, seeking to understand the mystery that had unfolded before him in the elevator's confined space. As she spoke, the woman's calmness stood in stark contrast to Jonah's earlier panic. She revealed bits of her identity, each word slowly peeling back the layers of mystery that had shrouded her composure. So, at odds with the fear and confusion that had gripped Jonah, added a layer of intrigue to her revelations, hinting at the depth of the story yet to be fully uncovered. "That I'm the daughter of Mr. Gibson," she finally disclosed, her voice steady. "I was on the phone discussing work matters." Her admissions shed light on the whispers to her watch, the source of Jonah's unease. The revelation that she had been in communication about work, possibly even about the very meeting Jonah was anxious about, brought a sense of closure to the puzzle, connecting the dots of the day's strange events. "The whispers to my watch were actually discussions with my father about a secret project you're involved in," she explained. Jonah's eyes widened in disbelief. The revelation that his inadvertent eavesdropping was actually a high-level conversation involving him was startling. The idea that he was at the center of a secretive initiative, discussed in such an unusual manner, left him reeling, trying to piece together his unintended role. Jonah struggled to process the information. He was part of a secret project, one so important that it warranted whispered conversations and the involvement of his boss's daughter. The realization brought a mix of bewilderment and embarrassment. To have been so close to the heart of something significant, yet utterly oblivious until now, made him feel exposed and slightly foolish. "That I'm sorry for misunderstanding your actions," Jonah said, his voice laced with genuine remorse. The tension of the past hour, fueled by his misinterpretations and fear, seemed petty now in the face of the truth. He apologized for his earlier panic and aggression, understanding at last the reasons behind her quietude and whispers. The apology was a small step toward reconciling the awkwardness and fear that had defined their interaction. Despite the awkwardness of their meeting and Jonah's panic, Mr. Gibson still extended an offer to Jonah to be part of the secret project. This gesture of trust, made under such unusual circumstances, was unexpected. Jonah felt a surge of gratitude and excitement. The project, shrouded in secrecy, now represented a unique opportunity, a chance to prove himself beyond the confines of a typical workday and an elevator mishap. Jonah's initial embarrassment at his earlier reactions slowly transformed into cautious optimism. The secret project, initially a source of confusion and fear, now unfolded as a promising opportunity. This shift in perspective, from dread to anticipation, marked a significant turn of events. Jonah's ordeal in the elevator, once a moment of panic, had unexpectedly positioned him at the threshold of a potentially career-defining venture. Jonah received word that Mr. Gibson was still open to meeting him, despite the unexpected delay caused by the elevator incident. This willingness to reschedule not only offered Jonah a sigh of relief, but also a renewed chance to engage directly with the secret project. The gesture underscored the importance of the meeting, emphasizing its significance beyond the constraints of time and circumstance. Gibson's response to the whole situation was marked by a surprising level of understanding and empathy. He recognized the stress and fear Jonah experienced, viewing his reactions within the context of the unusual circumstances rather than as professional shortcomings. This empathy highlighted the importance of compassion and leadership, turning a potential point of contention into an opportunity for forgiveness and growth. As Jonah learned more about the secret project, his initial anxiety gave way to a blend of excitement and a sense of responsibility. Being included in this initiative felt like a vote of confidence in his abilities and potential. The details of the project painted a picture of collaboration and innovation, offering Jonah a unique opportunity to contribute to something impactful and groundbreaking. Reflecting on the day's roller coaster of emotions, Jonah recognized the silver lining. The elevator ordeal, while harrowing, had inadvertently steered him into a pivotal role within a significant project. It was a reminder of how unforeseen events could lead to unexpected opportunities. Jonah felt a renewed sense of purpose, ready to tackle the challenges ahead with a fresh perspective and newfound determination. Finally stepping out of the elevator, Jonah and the woman now revealed as Mr. Gibson's daughter shared a moment of understanding. The ordeal they had endured together had forged an unexpected connection, a bond sealed by shared adversity and the anticipation of working together on the secret project. As they parted ways in the lobby, it was clear that this experience would remain a memorable chapter in their lives, a story of fear, discovery, and opportunity born from the most unlikely of circumstances. And that's the end of this episode. I'll see you next time.